Okay, if you are a home buyer, you have to watch this video. You may have seen some headlines over the last several months about a class action lawsuit and subsequent settlement against the National Association of Realtors. This has led to some major changes in how realtors conduct business here in the city of Ventura. I'll get into more of that later on in this video, but first I want to cover the top 9 questions that you should be asking realtors as you interview them for the job of being your buyer's agent and representing you in the purchase of a home. Wait a minute, interview? I should be interviewing agents? I was just gonna work with my mom's friend's son-in-law's wife. She seemed like a really nice gal. Stop! Please, please, please stop. You have got to interview agents before you make the decision on who you're going to work with. I know you buyers, you are super smart, you are super savvy. You spend a ton of time doing due diligence and research into a neighborhood and its crime rates, its walkability score, what the foreclosure rates are. You really invest a lot of time to understand, the area in which you're purchasing a home. I would encourage you to apply that same effort and that same energy into researching real estate agents and interviewing them before you really make the decision and pull the trigger on which one you're going to work with. And that's exactly what this video is about. This video is about the questions that you should be asking during that interview process that will help you kind of suss out the right fit for you. Let's get into it. The first question that you want to ask is, how many transactions do you close on an average year? This is a great way to gauge a realtor's level of experience. And look, you can ask, how many years have you been in the business? If the answer is, 20 years in the business, but they haven't sold a home in the last 14 months, they're not going to be up to date on the latest contracts and disclosures, which will be a major disservice to you. Asking the how many transactions question will also help you weed out the part-time agents. The agent that sells, maybe one home per year, they do a little bit of photography on the side, maybe they manage a rental property here and there. No, they're not going to cut it. This business is constantly evolving. You really need to be working with a full-time agent. The next question is, tell me about your market knowledge. Tell me what you're doing to stay on top of market trends and market data. You want to hear something like, this is how I track market trends and data. Maybe I use the multiple listing service. Maybe I'm attending, weekly brokerage or association meetings. The agent may say that they grew up in the area or they currently live in the area. Those are good signs too. They may take it a step further and show you, examples of homes that they sold to other home buyers in that same area that you're looking at. A good agent may say that they attend every single broker's open house in the city so that they really understand, what the competition is, what the comparable sales are. You want to make sure that you're working, with an experienced and knowledgeable professional so that they can properly guide you as you begin to make offers on homes. How do you like to communicate? Is that text? Is that phone call? Is that email? Is it a blend of all three? A good agent should probably turn that question around onto you and ask what your preferences are and adapt their style to whatever you like to do. You're the client after all. Ask them how often they'll be checking in with you, how often they'll be providing updates to you. What does communication look like as you're still searching for homes, and how does that change, if at all, once a home is under contract and you're in escrow? The biggest complaint that I hear from home buyers is that their communication from their agent was just absolutely terrible. So make sure you're asking that up front during the interview process and really try to have some kind of understanding between you and the agent you choose to work with so that everybody's expectations are set correctly. Where do you conduct most of your business? You want to make sure that whichever agent you're choosing to work with, that they know the area that you're interested in buying a home in really, really well. I often see home buyers coming up to the Ventura area from, Los Angeles County or Orange County and deciding to work with their agents from down there. I even had a buyer who purchased one of my listings using her real estate agent from San Diego. And you have to ask yourself, is that the best realtor to help you make the purchase of your home? Does that realtor from Newport Beach know that the home that you're purchasing here in Ventura is across the street from a, recently approved 100-unit apartment complex? Probably not. I love this question. What differentiates you from the rest of your competition? Now, what you don't want to hear is the realtor bring up, their fancy pants brokerage and how wonderful it is and the global reach and blah, 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 blah. That stuff doesn't matter. What you want to hear are specific examples. That could be how they're leveraging social media to find you properties that aren't even listed on the market. You want to hear them give examples of homes that they have recently sold in the area that you're also interested in buying it. Maybe they're writing letters to homeowners in the target area that you want to be in, trying to find homeowners that would actually be willing to sell but don't have their homes listed currently. Maybe they're door knocking and cold calling homeowners. You also want to work with an agent that is well connected with their colleagues. Any good realtor will have a short list of other agents in the area that they're going to pick up the phone and call and say, hey, do you have any listings coming up in this specific neighborhood? I've got a really well qualified buyer. I'd love to try and put something together. Bottom line is, here in the city of Ventura, inventory remains incredibly low. So I would want to know from the realtor that you're interviewing, what steps, what actions are they going to take to help you find your dream home? Because I'm going to tell you right now, most agents are probably just going to, kick back, wait for something to get listed on Zillow or the multiple listing service, and wait for you to tell them, hey, I want to go see this house. And in my opinion, that is simply just not good enough. Do me a favor, if you're getting any value whatsoever from this video, hit the subscribe button and smash the like button. That really does go a long way in helping the algorithm push this video out to more people just like you that may also find it useful. Thanks so much. To test the realtor's patience, ask them to explain the offer process to you and what contingencies are. If they go, yeah, and just kind of rush you through it, or if they're kind of stumbling and bumbling around and don't really know what to say, just know that that is probably the type of realtor that they are. You want to work with a type of professional that can take a complex topic and condense it down into an easy to digest rundown. A true pro, someone who is actually a master of their craft, is able to explain it to a 4-year-old if they had to. By the way, the same advice applies to accountants, doctors, and attorneys. The one answer you really don't want to hear is, yeah, I'll explain it to you once we get to that part in the process. If you do get that answer, run for the hills. These are not the type of people that you want to be doing business with. Number one, I'm going to question, do they even truly understand and know what the process is? And number two, if they're not going to take the time to, kind of explain that to you and elaborate on that to you during the interview process, they're probably not going to take the time during escrow either. How many clients are you working with right now, and what is your availability? It would be a little bit concerning if they said they weren't working with anybody right now and they can give you all the time in the world. It'd be a little bit concerning. It'd make you think, why don't they have any clients right now? It may also be a little bit concerning if they said that they had a ton of listings and a ton of escrows. I'd want to know, do they have the time to give me, the proper, customer service that I'm looking for? But you know what they say, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. Whatever they answer, just listen to what they have to say and make sure that you feel confident that they're going to be able to provide the customer service and the level of service that you are looking for. One of the most important questions that you should be asking during this interview process is, what are your commissions? What are your fees, and what do I get in return for that? In Ventura, realtors are now required to have a signed buyer-broker agreement with any buyer that they're representing before they open a single door. This was one of the major terms in the settlement that was agreed to with the National Association of Realtors. In fact, as of January 1st, 2025, the state of California is taking it an additional step further and making it state law. Ask the realtors that you plan to interview to send over a blank copy of the buyer-broker agreement before you meet with them in person to interview. There are many different versions of this form, and they're all slightly different. Getting it in advance will allow you to, read and digest it and write down any questions, any specific questions about that contract before you meet in person. Just be aware that the California Association of Realtors has their own form, and then most major brokerages have all of their own different forms and versions of this buyer-broker agreement. For example, here is my brokerage's, Berkshire Hathaway's, exclusive buyer representation agreement. Let's look at the top here. The top portion of this is, pretty straightforward. We're naming who is the broker, we're naming who is the buyer, you. We're determining when the agreement begins and when it ends. Note that here in the state of California, and this applies to Ventura, these buyer-broker agreements cannot exceed 3 months in length. Very important. So if you have an agent that's telling you, oh, we're gonna, write this for 6 months, that's not even allowed. And it should be written very clearly on every single one of these agreements, regardless of, whether it's coming from the California Association of Realtors or from the actual brokerage that that agent works for. You can see that a little bit below that, you can actually kind of describe, a specific property address, or a property type in a given city. So, for example, you might be sitting down with a realtor who's a specialist in the city of Oxnard, and they might want to put on here, okay, we're gonna the description of the properties that we're going to be looking at that I'll be representing you as your agent in will be single-family homes in Oxnard, California. And then you might think, we're also considering, buying a home in Thousand Oaks. We're really not sure between Thousand Oaks and Oxnard. Why don't we go and meet with another buyer's agent in Thousand Oaks who's a specialist in that area and sign another agreement with them? Now, a couple things on that. One, you're gonna have to let that Thousand Oaks agent know you already have an agreement in place for the city of Oxnard, and you're interested in signing an agreement with them for the city of Thousand Oaks. And as I said, you can put on here, we're only looking at single family homes, we're looking at all residential properties in the city of Thousand Oaks, or we're looking at condos or mobile home park, whatever it is. You can really kind of specify that and put that into these agreements. Now, a little bit lower than that, or below that, you'll see paragraph 1 here, agency relationship. So this is saying that you acknowledge receipt of a disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship. This is a California Association of Realtors form that outlines, I am your fiduciary as your buyer's agent, and I'll be representing you with, the utmost truth and loyalty and honesty, et cetera, et cetera. And you're also acknowledging receipt of a possible representation of more than one buyer or seller form. Again, another California Association of Realtors form just says that, hey, I might be working with other buyers, or I might be working with other sellers in addition to you. I'm not just working with you. And then the third one here is the broker compensation advisory form. Now, I love this BCA, broker compensation advisory form. I'm not going to put that up on the screen right now, but the reason why I love it is it details, why the settlement happened, how business was conducted before the settlement, how it's being conducted after the settlement. It really kind of explains, what's going on and why. If you would like a copy of that, give me a shout. I'll send it over to you in an email. Looking a little bit further into this, as your agent, my commitment to you includes, but is not limited to the following: work with you to identify properties, represent your interests, disclose any information that may affect you buying the property, answer your questions about offers, counter offers, etc. This is just, some good information here outlining what my role is to you as your buyer's agent. Looking at paragraph number 2 here. Now, this is compensation. So notice the amount of real estate commissions is not fixed by law. It is entirely negotiable. They are set by each broker individually and may be negotiable between a buyer and a broker. In here, you're going to put, generally speaking, some type of percentage of the purchase of the property is my guess of what most agents in town are going to want to look for, although I'm sure you could probably find an agent that's willing to do it for just a flat rate fee. That's probably going to be more like a discount broker, and they're not going to have as comprehensive level of service as somebody like me who is a full-time, full-service real estate agent. This is really important, but just note that whatever amount you're agreeing to pay to that buyer's agent to represent you in the purchase of a home, you're responsible for paying them. Now, that agent, I'll just give myself as an example. Whenever I work with a buyer, my goal is to negotiate with the seller that the seller is covering my fee. They're covering my buyer's obligation to a fee to me. That doesn't always happen. So let's say my fee is 10% and the seller says, okay, I'll pay 9% of Grant's fee. That means that you, the buyer, are responsible for that remaining 1% fee. Now, that's not what my fee is. I'm just using that as an example. We're not supposed to talk about fees really, online. We're supposed to kind of keep that between ourselves and consumers like yourself. The third one here is payment. So compensation to broker shall be payable through escrow upon completion of buyer's purchase. Again, just outlining you are responsible for this amount of money. Take it seriously, really look at your finances and understand, okay, I have money saved for a down payment, I have money saved for closing costs, I also need to have money saved for paying my buyer's agent if we are unsuccessful in getting the listing agent to cover that for me. This last little box down here at the bottom is just simply checking, yes, that you, the buyer, are okay with me, your agent, negotiating with the seller to cover my fee. This second page here, and just to point out, the reason why I love the Berkshire Hathaway version of this form is they took what was, I think, originally a 7 or 8 or 9 page California Association of Realtors form, and they condensed it down to just 2 pages for Berkshire Hathaway. Looking at paragraph 4, the continuation period. So buyer also agrees to pay broker the compensation if within 90 calendar days after the end of the representation period, buyer enters into a contract to acquire any property the broker showed to you. So what does this really mean? Let's break this down. If I'm your buyer's agent and we have a 3-month contract and I go and show you a home while we're still under contract together with each other, and I run comps for you on that property, I give you my advice on how to structure an offer, etc., etc. Maybe we even write an offer and submit it and we just get denied. Well, our agreement then expires. We get through that original 90 days of our agreement, that expires. I'm going to put in here some amount of time after that original agreement expires that should you still go and purchase one of these properties that I was your broker on, I was involved as a broker with comparable sales, submitting offers, market research and data, that I'm still going to get compensated. That's called kind of like a safe harbor period after the fact. You'll also see down below that there is some information here that you're representing that you have not entered into any other agreement with any other buyer that would conflict with this agreement, and just a couple more things confirming what the compensation amount is, and then signature blocks down here at the bottom. So this is the exclusive buyer representation agreement form. This is one version of a buyer broker agreement that you will need to sign with a buyer's agent before they open any doors for you. That's the terms of the settlement. This must be done, must be fully executed before you go see a single house, before a single door is open. So just keep that in mind. That's the way things need to be happening now, and that will actually become state law again on January 1st, 2025. Now, I know that this is a lot of information that we covered. We probably got pretty far into the weeds here. If you would like a PDF copy of these 9 questions that you should be asking a real estate agent, during the interview process, just give me a shout. I'll send that over to you so you don't forget anything, or in case you were scribbling things down during this video, let me know if that would be helpful. My name is Grant Lightfist, Ventura resident and full-time real estate agent. If you have any questions, about the local real estate market, the community at large, or even just, the buyer broker agreement, maybe you already have a signed buyer broker agreement and you want somebody to give you a second opinion on, what the terms that you agreed to are, give me a shout. I'm always happy to help. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.